A guy named Manny. Who was Persian. I got a picture.
There he is.
So, who the heck was this guy?
Manny.
How I loved you. How I loved. You do expect bad humor.
I bet he had nice rugs, though.
Ooh, is that an ethnic stereotype?
Stop. Anyway, continue on.
Oh, I have to explain who
Roll
Manny was?
right over. Yeah, you're
All
the
right.
one that
Well,
read about
Manny
it.
grew out of a combination of Christianity and Zoroastrianism, which was the popular religion in Persia. Zoroastrianism was, of course, a pre-Christian. Now, Zoroastrians are still with us today.
Right.
There are still churches, groups around. What do they call them? Which basically they sort of worship light.
No, they don't. They were one of the first monotheist.
They were monotheistic. They worship a god named
Ahura Mazda.
Yes.
And they believed in a lot of ideas that are going to be incorporated into Christianity, in that the idea of truth and light and the dark and untruth and the devil, those ideas are going to be prevalent in that.
But Manny developed and introduced a concept which was going to be central to a lot of heresies for a long time, which is dualism, which is that basically there's a world of the spirit, there's a world of the flesh, there's a perfect world, there's a mundane world. We live in this awful world, and God is perfect. And this is, okay, whatever. But they got into trouble because if Jesus was God and it came down to this imperfect world,
right,
then this doesn't work.
Well, for dualism, the idea is that there is one supreme unknowable entity that created everything, and that is the world of the spirit, and it has no form, no shape. And the other side, the material side, is what we're struggling through now, and eventually we get to that realm of the spirit. But when you've got a system that says everything good is spiritual, supernatural, and everything bad is physical, what does that say for your institutions, for your art, for your decisions on what you're going to do today? And oh, by the way, your Savior was supposed to be a physical man. When you take and say that all physicality is bad, then Jesus could not have been a good or a perfect individual.
And some of the dualists said, well, then Jesus was never really here.
Right.
What you said with this hologram traveling around everywhere he went.
Right.
And I mean, now I see dualism took a lot of forms over the years.
Right.
Things. Manny was sort of the founder. He had a culture. Again, he died in 276, so we don't know a lot about him. There's not a lot of good information. But he basically said that, there's two groups. There's the elect and there's the auditors. The rules of the Bible only apply to the elect. The auditors are here to be our servants. And then they flayed him alive.
Right.
Yeah.
Because he was basically saying that all these sacraments that you want are physical and therefore are bad by their very nature.
But the word Manichean is still with us.
Right. That the idea that everything.
Right. Of course.
When you say filleted alive, how does that work?
Flay.
Yeah.
There is. You really want it? He wants it.
Give it to him.
Yeah. Bring it.
Okay. Have you ever been deer hunting?
Have you ever watched the movie the show Game of Thrones? Because I believe they make some real references to it. Flaying is involved in a certain type of knife, and you peel off the skin while a person is still alive.
As I said,
I'm more familiar with the Game of Thrones reference than I am the deer hunting reference. I mean, you would never catch me out in the woods. No. Mm-mm.
Okay.
I'll shoot Bambi all day long as it's with a camera.
Yeah.
But But no,
See, I'm different. I will eat Bambi because I love venison, but I won't shoot Bambi. But I'll dine. Yeah, venison's good stuff.
So just one more quick follow up to that, just more of a curiosity. How long would somebody live after their skin like this?
Well, let's look it up.
I imagine if you don't hit any veins or arteries.
Well, obviously they tried to make it last as long as possible.
So you start at the extremities first.
How can we do this to people? Like our own fellow humans.
This is actually a fascinating thing. Is that you believe your beliefs are so important that you need to do these horrible things to someone.
You need to kill someone. You need to torture someone, et cetera, et cetera.
And we see. I think we're getting better. I think our society is better. But you get Matthew Shepard's, in our lifetimes. That people still think I'm going to do something horrible and it's going to cause people to change their behaviors.
Mm-hmm.
Matthew
Shepard? No.
Matthew Shepard, the guy in Colorado.
Okay. Montana. Montana. Anyway, but this very idea of inflicting pain to get at truth, this was something of a central part in Roman law. There were certain times in Roman law that the testimony of a slave could only be accepted if the slave was in fact tortured. If the slave came out with the information of their own free will or whatever, it wasn't admissible in court.
Real quick, I got to make correction. If I may, real quick, the Matthew Shepard, I remember he was the kid from the University of Wyoming that was taken and tortured.
Wyoming,
okay, I remember this.
That being cruel and barbaric to somebody is going to make other people behave differently. Yeah. By the way, Wikipedia says flaying could take anywhere from 4 hours to 2 days for a person to die, because they could survive.
Oh man!
Time. Oh yeah, it's a gross one.
1 minute would be excruciating.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if your body goes into some sort of shock, and if you don't, I don't want to find out.
Right.
Yeah.
But Manichaeanism is a term that's still with us today, meaning
just if you have a situation where there is one side versus another side, and there's nothing, the middle is excluded, and you've got good and bad. The Cold War was very much a Manichaean struggle in between. You were either on the side of the communists or on the side of the capitalists, and there was no in the middle.
Now, the Manichaeans, this is an image of, Persian image, obviously, of Mani before the emperor being judged and so on. There's a little controversy about what actually happens to him and so on. What's curious about Manichaeanism and the whole movement is that it didn't die out. It went to China. And there were Manichaeans in China as late as the 15th century. It's like this bizarre movement. They basically followed him. And I'm sure that, like every religious tradition, they change things and tweak things over time. But it's kind of curious. Okay, did you want to talk about Priscilla?
Must we?
Sure.
We can. But we're going to just start throwing out some of the weird heresies, the early ones that are going to pop up usually before the year 1000. Usually they're kind of personality cults, but they're going to be throwing in ideas of the Gnostics and of the Manichaeans, the dualist idea. Yes. And these and they're going to be just popping up all over the place.
So we have something of a laundry list. Now, if you want to get into some ideas, well, I'll go ahead and talk about Priscillian for just a second. Priscillian was where did he go? That's Priscillian. He was a bishop. He created a movement in Spain and gathered hundreds of followers. And he taught that lay people should not be married, that you must fast on Sundays, that you should go live in the mountains during Lent, and you should use the word doctor to refer to each other. He also, and this is where he probably got into trouble, said that you can have take-home sacraments. That basically the priest elevates the host, it's transubstantiated into the body of Christ, you can take it home, put it in the refrigerator, keep it fresh.
Nice. Jesus to go.
Take out Jesus.
What's he doing to that kid in that picture?
I don't think I want to know.
Yeah. Priscillian was beheaded. This is the bishop blessing it. This is the first officially church-sanctioned execution of a heretic. It was in 380, I believe.
Oh, that's early.
And it was a huge controversy at the time because, should the church be killing people? Should any movement be killing people in order to forward its thoughts? And this is going to start. What's it?
I'm going to go with no.
I'm going to go with no. No, but
yeah, they didn't listen.
Call me crazy.
We have heresies with us today. They may not be religious, but if I was to stand up and say, the Nazis weren't all bad, that's a heresy. I would be condemned for having an error, and I would possibly lose my job.
Sleeping on the couch.
Funny you should say that. Steve and I just left a show called The Geek Room, and where they play videos from around the web, and we kind of comment on them. And the last video that they showed was an African-American man starting out with this long diatribe about Jews, and then doubled down on it by saying that Hitler was not all that bad. Let that sink in.
Well, Hitler said you shouldn't smoke. I agree with him on that one.
Yeah, he was a vegetarian too.
Yeah.
And he could draw.
He wasn't a bad artist, but again, it's I can't look at the work without
can't do it. Yeah.
But the point is the fact that it's valid. That I don't really want to talk to anybody who thinks Hitler was a decent guy. At the same time, it is a position that we're not willing to really discuss. We as a society agree Hitler was bad. End of story.
And a lot of the problem with these heresies was not that people of a certain conscience are going to start following them. It's that they start becoming political. They start as early as around the 4th century CE, in that the Visigoths, the Goths, the Ostrogoths, and the Vandals, these are the tribes of northern Europe that come to invade the Italian peninsula, supposedly the overthrow of the Roman Empire. These people were converting to what the people in Constantinople considered to be heresy. They were following groups like the heresy of Arianism.
Which is?
I don't remember. There's too many.
There are so many, and I've heard people talk about this, and they expect me to know, and that's why I was expecting her to fill in and go, yes, that's right, but I've been busted.
Yeah, we're both busted.
You probably got somebody going in the comment section right now saying,
busted! Anyway.
Go ahead.
Okay. The denial of the true divinity of Jesus Christ taking various specific forms, but all agreed that Jesus Christ was created by the Father, that he had a beginning in time, and that the title Son of God was only a courtesy one.
Who
cares? Anyway. All right, but this is just a heresy of word. So, but there are
heresy by words,
yes,
heresy by thought,
heresy by deed. But these are the enemies of the emperor in Constantinople, and they're adopting a heretical stance in terms of their religion, still Christian, but a heretical Christian. And so you get political ideas being invested in this, including something called the iconoclastic controversy.
The iconoclasts.
The iconoclasts.
That's a word we all use every day.
This was...
Well, let's start with what's an icon.
Right. Okay. An icon is basically a piece of art, usually very important in the Orthodox Church, the Greek and Russian Orthodox Church. It is a presentation of a holy person in perfection. This is the difference, one of the big differences between Roman Catholicism and Greek Orthodoxy, is that the holy person is seen as if you're looking into a window in heaven. So these images are going to be covered with gold foil. They're going to be covered with jewels. There is a whole procedure